Hey, I'm David Rosengarten. Welcome to Cheese 101.
Do you like cheese?
Not really.
You don't like cheese? How come you don't like cheese?
I just don't. Why?
Dude, you got cheese on your pizza.
I thought that not really.
Cheese on the internet. Do you like cheese? No. Are you a cheese lover by any chance?
Today, I want to start with the most simple and basic and fundamental question. What the fuck is cheese? Because people don't really know this. People are just confused. Oh yeah, there's that cheese. It's that thing called cheese. Well, it's really very simple, and it's an ancient, natural process. And once you know, then a lot of things clear up in the whole world of cheese. Understood. So let me show you this first. Here I have some grapes as they'd be hanging on a vine. You pick the grapes, and then what do? You squeeze them. And what comes out of those grapes when you squeeze them? Juice. Whoa. Juice comes out of those grapes. Grape juice. And you know, you press a whole bunch of them, and you end up with like a big vat that has a lot of juice in it. Now, here's the cool thing. When you add yeast to that juice, as the winemaker does, you've turned it into wine. That yeast creates a fermentation in the juice, which ends up in alcohol, and that's what wine is. Now, let's turn to cheese. Instead of hanging grapes, let's think about a hanging udder off of the animal. Cow, sheep, goat. Let's talk about cows today. Let's talk about a cow's udder. Think of the grapes as a cow's udder. You squeeze the grapes, you squeeze the udder, what do you get? Yeah, I got cow juice, also known as milk. I've got a whole bunch of cow juice in this pan right here, including some warm stuff. It's all been warmed, just gently warmed, because that's what helps the magic take place, and I'm about to show you the magic. And then, to this cow juice that's gently warm, you take this substance, which is called rennet. Now, rennet naturally occurs in the animal's stomach. So it's all very, very natural. You add just a little bit of rennet to this much milk. That should be about enough right there. Stir it up a little bit. And then you wait a little while. Notice I'm doing this in a cheesecloth. You'll see why later. You wait a little while, an hour, 2 hours, and something miraculous takes place. You get big chunks of things called curds, and that essentially is cheese. Okay, I'm going to let this guy sit here and curdle for an hour or two, and meanwhile, I'm going to go milk a few more cows. That's my Bessie. Okay, so we're back here a couple of hours later with the milk curdled by the rennet. And what we have in here is we have a combination of some curds. You can see I got lumpy ones and big ones, and the rest of the stuff is now called whey. Of course, the curds themselves are much fattier, and the whey is much more kind of watery and thin. Now, at this point, you've got your raw material. I mean, the curd basically is cheese, but at this point, human beings have developed a million different ways to deal with these curds and turn them into that vast, wonderful category that we call cheese. You have decisions right up front about cutting. Do you want the curds to be big? Do you want them to be tiny? Do you want them to be medium-sized? Because the size of the curds is going to make a huge difference in the way that the cheese ultimately turns out. But let's start with a very basic one. What size cheese am I going to make? A cheese is made by taking a mold and putting the curds, most usually cut, in the mold. So let's take a little look at that process right now. This is my cheesecloth here, as you know, and you have to have some way of getting these curds easily out of the way, out of their way, not my way. And basically, you can pick it up like this, and you can start squeezing. You can squeeze a lot. You can leave some of the liquid in. You know, it's totally up to you as cheesemaker. Now, I'm going to grab some of the curds that I have in here, and I'm going to start to put them in this mold. But basically, you build this mold, and of course some liquid is going to come out of here. That's why it has the holes in it. You build the mold with the curds, and then, and of course there's salting. That's another key question. Do you salt it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, sometimes heavily, sometimes lightly. And then basically now we get into all the issues of time. Basically you want to put this away, keep it in storage. If you store it for a day or two, like I can think of some fresh goat cheeses that you might want to store like a very short amount of time, a couple of days, then you have a very fresh cheese. But if you have a big format, you can store cheese for like 4 years. It just changes with time. It keeps getting more intense and it comes together, and you will not ultimately, of course, see all these breaks in the curd. It will all grow together. I happen to have here one that I made yesterday, and it's already starting to change. You can see that it's a much more homogeneous kind of lump in this cheese mold. These were stacked on top of each other, and notice the pattern on the bottom of this mold, which this cheese has now picked up on the top. So now that you've got your cheese, it's up to you. Put it in a moist room, a dry room, a cold room, a warmer room. Hold it for 3 days, hold it for 3 weeks, hold it for 3 months, hold it for 3 years. This is all the art of the cheesemaker. And by the way, while you're doing that, there are various processes that you can do to the cheese while it's aging that turn it into different kinds of cheese. We have cheese, Bessie! Nice, huh?
Very good.
Well, he likes it. Mikey likes it. Yeah, okay.
Say cheese.
Say cheese. Yeah.